Well, hello, and welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about how you can use what's called a subshell. I've already shown this in other videos, but you can use a subshell to be able to capture output of one command, to store it in a variable, and be able to use it as input in another command. So for those of you that are watching live on YouTube, if you want, or watching live, if you want to head over to YouTube, which is the link in the description, you can leave comments and ask me questions. For those of you that are not watching live, you also want to head into the description so that you can see the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist, which is where you'll find the edited version of this video. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Well, hello, and welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about how to use a subshell to be able to capture output from one program in Bash and then be able to store it in a variable and use it as input to another program. So for those of you that are watching, actually I'm going to restart that. Forgive me, those of you that are watching live. Well, hello, and welcome back. Tonight, we're going to talk about how to use a subshell to capture the output text from one command and use it as input text to another command in Bash, and how to store it in a variable. So if at any point you have that aha moment, please go ahead and give this a like. And if you would like to, sorry, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm not going to restart this over and over again, I promise. I want to get the beginning right here. Well, hello, and welcome back. Thanks for joining in tonight. We're going to talk about how you can use a subshell to be able to capture output text from one program, store it in a variable, and be able to use it as input to another program. Now, if at any time you have that aha moment where something just clicks for you, please go ahead and give this a like and leave a comment below with the time code with what that was. Would really appreciate that. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. I've got 4 examples for you. I'm just going to go ahead and show them to you right off the bat. Let me go ahead and make a text file, and then we'll walk through them. So I just want you to see it to kind of know what we're talking about. We're going to call this test.sh, and I'm going to paste these in here. All right. So a subshell is this $ parenthesis, and then the stuff inside it are the commands that we're running. And I'll go through and explain these one by one, but we'll just first, let me output this to the screen here so we have it to look at. So we've talked about how to use printf before. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Let's say that we want to print out hello, and then let's say we want to have a new line there. So we want to print that to the screen. We've printed out hello. Now this would be totally inane, but let's pretend that you wanted to take the output that you just created in a string and you wanted to store it in a variable. Well, obviously you could just do my text equals hello and then end it like that. Oh, actually, you know what? I am in fish right now. I need to switch over to bash. So I'm going to type bash. We're going to switch over to bash. Let me clear the screen here. I'm going to get that output back on the screen. Okay. So I could also do my text equals hello, like that. And then I could do a printf and put my text. This is going to seem really redundant, but I just want to show it as an example. Now we could take that, and let's call this my text2. We could create a subshell, and then if we were to print out the contents of the subshell, it would be exactly the contents that we just looked at. So, well, actually, that's interesting. It stripped out the ending new line. So that is different about it. But the point being that we're not doing anything particularly useful. But let's say, well, first let me explain this. Let me explain this real quick, character by character, what we're doing here. Let me get rid of all that. So we've done variables before. And if you are going to use a variable or any special aspect of Bash, you need to start with a quote in what you're assigning. So we're going to start with a quote, end with a quote. That's the first thing. Now, if we were going to start with a variable, we would do $, curly brace, curly brace. But if we want to run a command, then we use parentheses. So I'll try this. Let's see if this works out. No, that actually won't work out. I'm not going to do that. So let me go back. What we'll do is we'll run printf, and let's just pass it hello. So what this is doing is it's creating a new instance of bash or a subshell, and then it's running this printf hello as if it were its own script. And then instead of outputting it to the screen, we're assigning it to the variable text. All right, now let's take a look at the next example. This is where things start to get a little more interesting. So I have here a file that I created, test.sh. Let's say that I wanted to store that file in a variable. Now look at this. It's got quotes, it's got dollar signs, it's got single quotes, double quotes. It's got the whole gambit of special characters here. The only thing that could make it worse is if it had some backslashes, right? So if we wanted to type this out as a string in bash, it would be very cumbersome and difficult because we'd have to put a quote, then we'd have to escape a quote. I'm not even sure if it works that way. Then we'd have to escape the dollar sign, then we'd have to escape the parenthesis, and then we'd have to, it just, or if we went the other route, we'd have to end up escaping all of the single quotes. So this is not a good deal, but we can store this in a variable. Let me show you how. Let's just take what we did just now. We'll do my text equals, put a quote, dollar sign, and then in the parentheses and put another quote. So now all of this text right here is going to be output and then captured. It's output from cat, but then it's captured by the subshell and placed in the variable my text. So here we go. Whoops, not single quotes. We want double quotes because we're going to use that variable. So we got my text here. Boom, we got the whole thing. And then because the last new line got stripped out, we need to put that one back in. So we'll do \n, or alternatively, we could just hit enter and then end it that way. Actually, kind of surprised. Oh, I see what happened there. It left. Oops. Now this is looking gummy. This is one of the problems with bash. It doesn't handle strings very well. As I try to go through the history, it's wrapping over on itself. So I'm going to have to retype that out. So here we are, cat test.sh. Cool. Printf. And then we're going to put in the variable my text. And then I'm going to put a /n at the end of here. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see. So I added back extra new lines. Okay. So my text was all of this text. Everything is exactly as it should be from the file. There's no need for us to escape it. So this is particularly useful if we want to use an entire file as input to a command like we just did. I want to show you some other ways that we can use this. Let's say that we wanted to store the result of, well, I've got the perfect example here. Give me just 1 second to pull over a browser window. We're going to go to gist.github.com, which hopefully you were doing anyway because you like to keep good notes, right? So we'll go over here, gist.github.com, and I'm going to create file.txt, and I'm going to put blah, 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 blah. And let's just put every single special character in the gambit in this file. Let's see. Just a whole bunch of them there for good measure. There's no way that we would ever want to try to escape this and put it in a bash string. So I'm going to go ahead and create that file. And then I'm going to click on the raw button. Now here is the thing that I can download. So don't worry so much about all of the different commands that we're going to use right now. The primary thing that we're focusing on is how the subshell works. So if I want to download a file and store the file I'm downloading in a variable, let's do this again. We'll call it my text. And I'm going to use the command curl. Don't worry so much about what that is or how it works yet. We'll go over it later. When I run this, now, again, my text, and then we'll put in a couple of extra new lines for good measure. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, so I was mistaken. I was mistaken because, yes, I forgot about this. So we're gonna break my rule and we're gonna use echo because it turns out that the % is a special character in printf. So we're gonna use this other command echo that I only use for debugging. Usually we want to use printf, but in this particular case, echo is the right tool for the job. So there we go. Echo does not treat the % as a special character. That's the one special character in printf. So here we are, and we've got the contents of that file, and it's stored. We're not re-downloading it. It's there in the string. And there's another place where this comes in really handy, which either I've already showed you or you'll be seeing soon, depending on where you're at in the playlist. I can take, say, a file path. So where are we at right here? Our working directory plus, I didn't want to get all that stuff there. Okay, so our full file path right now to our test file is users aj test.sh. There we go. So there's the command basename, which turns out to be a particularly useful command. We can call basename on a string, and it gets rid of all the path information. And then we can tell it the suffix that we'd like to strip off, and it gives us just the name of the file. So I could take this, and we could say my file name, or let's say my base name equals run a subshell, and then lookout world, oops, let me put some new lines in there. There we are. So there is our output. So the purpose here is that we can, well, actually, if you keep following along the playlist, we'll get to some real practical use cases for this. But for right now, I just wanted you to see that it is possible to take the output of a command, any command. We could do ls like this, same way. Let me do this again. Let me put the... And it actually is really, really important that we put the quotes. I'll show you why. ls provides a perfect example of this. So if I print this out, and let's add a new line for good measure, we can see that it's all of the files that are in my home directory. If I do not put the quotes, we're going to have a hard time here. I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if we don't put the quotes, then what will happen is that each line of output from the command will be treated separately. So it'll only capture the first line of the command rather than all of the output. So we wouldn't notice this if the command only output one line of text, but as soon as it outputs multiple lines of text, we don't get to see it. So let me try doing this and see how that works. All right, that one worked that way. Yeah. So it is important to actually use the quotes so that the text is preserved exactly. And we have to use double quotes because we're doing special bash stuff. We're running a subcommand. All right. Well, that's all I've got for now. I hope that this is useful for you. It will definitely be useful in upcoming videos. So put a pin in it, store it in that brain of yours. Go ahead, get over to just.github.com, make a little blog article for yourself about this, how to use subshells to store output. and we will catch you next time.